It's a night of firsts, so I'd like to share with you the first time I've ever gotten my bangs to do this. Apparently, the ionizer button on the hairdryer is magic. It's writing week. I was just jealous of Jeannie's rolling chair. I don't have a rolling chair. First story I ever wrote, I wrote on notebook paper, about a 75 to 100 sheets thick, bound with a broken plastic bead necklace I'd gotten at Trimfest one year. And for all of the Anne McCaffrey and Tolkien and really bad sci-fi that I grew up with, the first thing that I tried to emulate was a Laura Lee McDaniels novel. You're really lucky it's in Fernandina and I can't read it to you. 10-year-olds really shouldn't write dramatic love scenes. First song I ever wrote was about a pumpkin. Well, I co-wrote it for a gifted class. We had nothing else to do because our real teacher was out and the sub could play guitar. So he had us write songs and he went home and recorded them. And one of these days I will find that tape and share it with the world, because there's nothing I like more than oversharing. The first thing I wrote that someone else saw was when I was in the 5th or 6th grade, and I wrote an April Fool's journal entry to trick my cousin. The only problem with this is that to get my cousin to read the journal, I had to kind of give it to her and let her read it, which means that the whole story I'd made up in it about running away with this kid in my judo class obviously hadn't happened because I was still there. First teacher who encouraged me to write was Miss Lamar in the 8th grade at Yulee Middle School, and I always loved her, and not just because she boosted my ego, mostly because she made us read The Outsiders, which was where I learned my first poem. Nature's first green is gold. Stay gold, nerds. First time I presented something I wrote was a poetry reading at Montreat Church Camp in Montreat, North Carolina. Aren't you glad you weren't there? The first time I presented something I wrote where somebody had to pay attention was in my junior English class at Fernandina Beach High School. Aren't you glad you weren't there? We had to write a monologue set to instrumental music. I wrote it to La Mer, which was on the Fragile disc by 9 Inch Nails. A classmate later asked me if I was really going to kill myself. The first thing that I wrote that was critiqued by a group of my peers was a short story that I had started writing, much like most short stories that I write, and never finished. This particular short story was about a girl who finds a box full of ghosts. What can I say? I'm creative, and I have issues with Pandora. The first time I participated in Nano all those years ago, I started a story which I fondly refer to as the Nano Novel of Doom. It involved a girl who was killed, brought back to her body, and then also attached to aliens. Well, the aliens were attached to her. They're a part of her consciousness. The story was really about her, but I kind of got sidetracked by my villain because I'm in love with bastards, which is why it's not finished yet. One day, though. The first thing I've tried to co-write is the steampunk novel I'm currently writing with Friday Alley. I love it kind of a lot. It pretty much makes me feel endless. Partially because I'm a genre whore, and partially because Allie's really easy to write with. Well, for me anyway. I think it's because we share the same brain. I'm pretty sure she has the smart half. So there you have it, a whole slew of writing firsts. Would like to hear if you have any writing firsts. Go ahead and leave them in the comments, or make a video reply.